Welcome back to the channel The Coin Empire. Today we are diving into one of the most shocking and mysterious stories in the world of coin collecting, a story that sounds almost unbelievable yet continues to capture the imagination of collectors, investors, and treasure hunters around the globe. The story of the 1997 5-cent coin. A seemingly ordinary piece of pocket change that under the right circumstances could be worth an astonishing $81 million. And as we explore this incredible possibility, you are going to discover how a simple coin minted for everyday transactions could transform into one of the most valuable collectibles ever known. And it all comes down to errors, mistakes, rare minting anomalies, and the fascinating chain of events that can turn a common object into a legendary treasure. Now, at first glance, the 1997 nickel looks just like any other coin produced in that year, struck at the Denver Mint, and featuring the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his historic home Monticello on the reverse. Millions upon millions of these coins were produced and released into circulation, and most of them still carry only their face value today, sitting unnoticed in jars, drawers, and pockets. But hidden among these ordinary coins, there exists the possibility of extremely rare variations that could elevate their value beyond imagination. And the reason lies in the complex, and sometimes imperfect process of coin minting, where even the smallest deviation can create a rarity that collectors are willing to pay extraordinary amounts to obtain. One of the most important factors that can make a 1997 nickel incredibly valuable is the presence of a major mint error. And when we talk about mint errors, we are referring to mistakes that occur during the production process, such as misaligned dies, double strikes, off-center strikes, planchet errors, or even coins struck on the wrong metal composition. Each of these errors can dramatically increase a coin's rarity and desirability. But what makes the 1997 nickel particularly fascinating is the possibility of multiple errors occurring on a single coin, creating a unique specimen that stands alone in the world. Imagine a coin that was struck slightly off-center, resulting in a portion of the design missing or distorted, and then struck again with a misaligned die, creating a doubled image that appears almost ghost-like. And then consider the possibility that this coin was struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination or even a different country, resulting in an unusual weight, color, or texture. Such a coin would not only be rare but potentially one of a kind, and in the world of high-end coin collecting, uniqueness can drive prices into the millions. Another key factor that could contribute to the extraordinary value of a 1997 nickel is the condition of the coin, known as its grade. Coins that have never been circulated and retain their original luster and detail are considered to be in mint state, and the highest grades, such as MS69 or MS70, are extremely rare, especially for coins that were intended for everyday use. Now imagine a 1997 nickel that not only has a dramatic mint error but is also preserved in near-perfect condition. This combination of rarity and quality could make it one of the most sought-after coins in existence, and collectors would be willing to pay enormous sums to add such a piece to their collections. But the story does not end there, because there are even more possibilities that could elevate the value of this coin to the incredible figure of $81 million. One of these possibilities is the existence of a transitional error, which occurs when the mint changes the composition or design of a coin, and a small number of coins are struck using the old design or material after the change has been implemented, while there were no official composition changes for the nickel in 1997. The possibility of experimental planchets or leftover materials being used accidentally cannot be completely ruled out, and if such a coin were discovered, it would be an extraordinary find. Another fascinating possibility is the existence of a mule error, where two dies that were never intended to be used together are accidentally paired, resulting in a coin with mismatched designs, for example a coin with the obverse of a nickel and the reverse of a different denomination, or even a different country's coin entirely. Such errors are incredibly rare and highly prized by collectors, and if a 1997 nickel were found with a mule error, it could easily command a price in the tens of millions, especially if it were the only known example. And then there is the concept of provenance, which refers to the history and ownership of a coin. A coin that has been part of a famous collection or has a well-documented and intriguing history can be worth significantly more than a similar coin without such a background. Imagine a 1997 nickel with a dramatic mint error that was discovered in a roll of coins decades ago and has since been featured in major auctions, exhibitions, and publications. Its story alone could add immense value, turning it into a legendary piece that collectors would compete fiercely to acquire, and as the competition increases, so does the price, sometimes reaching levels that seem almost impossible to believe. And this is how a coin that was originally worth just 5 cents could potentially be valued at $81 million. Now you might be wondering how such a coin could go unnoticed for so long, and the answer lies in the sheer volume of coins that are produced and circulated every year. With millions of coins passing through countless hands, it is entirely possible for a rare error coin to remain hidden in plain sight, overlooked by people who are unaware of its significance. And this is what makes coin collecting so exciting, because the next time you receive change, you could be holding a piece of history that is worth far more than its face value. And the thrill of the hunt is what drives collectors to search through rolls of coins, visit flea markets, and explore old collections, always hoping to discover that one rare piece that will change everything. And when it comes to the 1997 nickel, the possibilities are endless, because each coin has the potential to tell a different story, a story of how it was made, how it was used, and how it survived over the years. And for those who are willing to take the time to examine their coins carefully, the rewards can be extraordinary. But it is important to note that not every 1997 nickel is worth millions. In fact, the vast majority are still worth only their face value, and identifying a truly valuable coin requires knowledge, experience, and sometimes the help of professional grading services, which can authenticate and evaluate a coin's condition and rarity, providing collectors with the information they need to make informed decisions. And if you believe you have found a rare error coin, it is always a good idea to have it examined by experts who can determine its authenticity and potential value, because in the world of coin collecting, appearances can be deceiving. And what may seem like a minor imperfection could actually be a significant error that makes the coin incredibly valuable. And as we continue to explore the fascinating world of rare coins, it is stories like this that remind us of the hidden treasures that exist all around us, waiting to be discovered. And the 1997 nickel is a perfect example of how something so small and seemingly insignificant can hold the potential for unimaginable wealth. And whether you are a seasoned collector or just starting out, the key is to stay curious, keep learning, and never underestimate the value of the coins in your pocket, because you never know when you might come across a piece that will change your life forever. And that is what makes this hobby so captivating, the idea that history, art, and mystery can all come together in a single coin, creating a story that is as valuable as the coin itself. And as we wrap up this incredible journey into the world of the 1997 nickel, remember that the next great discovery could be yours. All it takes is a keen eye, a bit of knowledge, and a willingness to look a little closer at the everyday objects that most people take for granted, because sometimes the greatest treasures are the ones that are hiding in plain sight, just waiting to be found. Next, 2002 5-cent coin. Today we are about to uncover another unbelievable story from the fascinating world of coin collecting, a story that proves once again that even the smallest and most ordinary objects can hold extraordinary secrets. And today's spotlight is on the 2002 5-cent coin. A coin that most people would never look at twice, yet under the right circumstances could be valued at an astonishing $78 million. And if that number sounds impossible, stay with me, because as we go deeper into this story you will begin to understand how errors, minting mistakes, rare anomalies, and collector demand can transform a simple nickel into a legendary piece worth a fortune. Now, the 2002 nickel was minted at the Denver Mint and features the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse along with the Monticello building on the reverse, a design that had been in use for decades before the Westward Journey series began in 2004, and at the time of its release there was nothing particularly special about this coin. Millions were produced and distributed across the United States, entering circulation as everyday currency, used in vending machines, given as change, and stored away in jars without a second thought. But hidden within these millions of coins lies the potential for extremely rare variations that could make one of them incredibly valuable. And the key to understanding this lies in the minting process itself, a complex industrial operation involving high speed machinery, precision dies, and strict quality control. Yet despite all these measures, mistakes can and do happen, and when they do, the results can be extraordinary. One of the most important types of errors that could make a 2002D nickel worth millions is a major striking error, such as a double strike, where the coin is struck more than once by the dies, creating overlapping images that give the coin a distorted and almost surreal appearance. And if such a double strike is dramatic enough and clearly visible, it can significantly increase the coin's value, especially if it is well preserved. Another type of striking error is an off-center strike, where the coin is not properly aligned with the dies during the minting process, resulting in part of the design being missing or shifted toward one side, and the more off-center the strike is while still retaining a readable date and mint mark, the more valuable the coin can become. Now imagine a 2002D nickel that is both off-center and double-struck, combining two major errors into one unique piece. Such a coin would be incredibly rare and highly desirable among collectors, and this is where the value can begin to climb into extraordinary territory. But the possibilities do not end there, because there are also planchet errors to consider, which occur before the coin is even struck. The planchet being the blank piece of metal that will become the coin. Sometimes planchets are flawed, damaged, or even intended for a different denomination, and if a 2002D nickel were struck on a planchet meant for a different coin, such as a dime, or even a foreign coin, the result would be a highly unusual piece with a different size, weight, or composition. And these types of errors are among the most sought after in the collecting world because they represent a fundamental mistake in the minting process, one that should have been caught but somehow slipped through, and when such a coin is discovered, it often becomes the centerpiece of a collection, drawing attention from collectors around the world. Another fascinating possibility is the presence of a die error, such as a double die, where the design on the die itself is duplicated due to a misalignment during its creation, resulting in coins that show a clear doubling of certain features like the lettering or the portrait. And while minor doubling is relatively common, strong and dramatic double die errors are rare and highly valuable, especially when they occur on a coin like the 2002D nickel, which is not typically known for such variations, and this rarity can drive up demand significantly. But perhaps even more exciting is the possibility of a mule error, one of the rarest and most dramatic types of mint errors, where two dies that were never intended to be used together are accidentally paired, creating a coin with mismatched designs. For example, a coin that has the obverse of a nickel but the reverse of a different denomination, or even a different country's coin. Such errors are extremely rare because the minting process is designed to prevent them, yet a few have been discovered over the years, and when they often become some of the most valuable coins in existence. So if a 2002D nickel were found with a mule error, especially one that is unique, or nearly so, it could easily command a price in the tens of millions. And when combined with other factors such as condition and provenance, the value could reach the incredible figure of $78 million. Speaking of condition, this is another crucial factor in determining a coin's value. Coins are graded on a scale that measures their level of preservation, from heavily worn to perfect mint state, and the highest grades, such as MS69 or MS70, are extremely rare for coins that were intended for circulation. Now imagine a 2002D nickel with a major error that is also in near perfect condition, its surfaces free from scratches, its luster intact, and its details sharp and clear. This combination of rarity and quality would make it an exceptional piece, one that collectors would be willing to pay enormous sums to acquire. And then there is the concept of provenance, the documented history of a coin's ownership, which can add another layer of value. A coin that has been part of a famous collection or has an interesting story behind its discovery can be worth significantly more than a similar coin without such a background. Imagine a 2002D nickel with a dramatic error that was discovered in a sealed bankroll years after its release, then authenticated and graded by experts, and later sold at a major auction where it set records and captured headlines. Such a coin would not only be valuable because of its physical characteristics but also because of its story, and in the world of high-end collecting, stories matter. They create excitement, competition, and ultimately higher prices, And this is how a simple 5-cent coin can be transformed into a multi-million-dollar treasure. But one of the most intriguing aspects of this story is the idea that such a coin could still be out there, hidden among ordinary coins, waiting to be discovered, because despite the efforts of collectors and experts, not every rare coin has been found, and with millions of 2002D nickels produced and circulated, it is entirely possible that one of these extraordinary error coins is still sitting in a jar, a drawer, or even in someone's pocket, unnoticed and unappreciated. And this possibility is what drives so many people to search through their coins, to look a little closer, to learn more about what to look for, because the reward for finding such a coin could be life-changing. But it is important to approach this with a realistic mindset. Not every coin with a minor imperfection is valuable. And many marks that appear to be errors are actually the result of damage that occurred after the coin left the mint, known as post-mint damage, which does not add value and can even reduce it. So learning to distinguish between true mint errors and ordinary wear is essential for anyone interested in this hobby. And this is where education and experience come into play, as well as the assistance of professional grading services that can authenticate and evaluate coins, providing an objective assessment of their condition and rarity. And if you ever believe you have found a rare 2002D nickel with unusual characteristics, it is always wise to seek expert advice before making any assumptions about its value, because while the idea of a $78 million coin is exciting, it is also extremely rare, and only the most exceptional pieces will ever reach such heights. But that does not diminish the thrill of the hunt, the excitement of discovery, or the joy of learning about the history and artistry of coins. And as we continue to explore these incredible stories, remember that every coin has a story to tell. A journey from the mint to your hands, and sometimes that journey includes mistakes, accidents, and rare events that turn an ordinary object into something truly extraordinary. And the 2002D nickel is a perfect example of this, a coin that most people would overlook, yet one that holds the potential for unimaginable value under the right circumstances. So the next time you come across a handful of coins, take a moment to examine them carefully. Look for anything unusual, any signs of errors or anomalies, because you never know what you might find, and who knows, the next legendary coin worth millions could be right there in your possession waiting to be discovered. And that is the magic of coin collecting, the idea that hidden treasures are all around us just waiting for someone with a keen eye and a curious mind to uncover them and turn an ordinary moment into an extraordinary discovery that could change everything forever. Last 2015 P5-cent coin. Today we are diving into another astonishing and mind-blowing story from the world of coin collecting, a story that challenges everything you think you know about everyday money, because today's focus is on the 2015 P5-cent coin, a modern nickel that at first glance looks completely ordinary, yet under the right conditions could be valued at an unbelievable $75 million. And if you are wondering how a coin that many people still carry in their pockets today could ever reach such an incredible value, then you are about to discover the fascinating truth behind minting errors, rare production mistakes, collector demand, and the hidden possibilities that can turn a simple coin into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. Now, the 2015 P nickel was minted at the Philadelphia Mint and features the modern forward-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, a design introduced in 2006, along with the detailed image of Monticello on the reverse. And by 2015 the minting process had become highly advanced, using precise machinery and strict quality control to ensure consistency and perfection. But despite all of this technology, no system is completely flawless. And even in modern times, errors can occur, and when they do, they can create coins that stand out dramatically from the rest. Coins that collectors search for tirelessly because they represent something unique and rare in a sea of uniformity. One of the most exciting possibilities that could make a 2015 P nickel worth millions is the presence of a dramatic mint error, such as a major off-center strike, where the coin blank is not properly aligned when it is struck by the dies, resulting in a design that is shifted significantly to one side, sometimes leaving a large blank crescent on the opposite edge. And if the date and mint mark remain visible while the error is extreme, this type of coin can be highly desirable, especially if it is preserved in excellent condition. And when such an error is Combined with other anomalies, the value can increase exponentially. Another powerful type of error is a double, or even triple strike, where the coin is struck multiple times in slightly different positions, creating overlapping images that can appear almost chaotic yet fascinating. These types of errors are rare because most misstruck coins are caught and removed during quality control. So when one escapes into circulation, it becomes a prized find, and if a 2015 P nickel were discovered with a clear and dramatic multiple strike error, it could become one of the most talked about coins among collectors, especially if it is the only known example of its kind, and uniqueness is one of the most important factors in determining value at the highest levels of collecting. But beyond striking errors, there are also planchet errors which occur before the coin is even struck. And these can be even more dramatic because they involve the very metal that the coin is made from. For example, a coin could be struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, resulting in a coin that is either too small, too large, or made of a different metal composition. Imagine a 2015 P nickel struck on a copper planchet or even a foreign coin blank. The color, weight, and feel of such a coin would be completely different from a normal nickel, making it instantly noticeable to anyone who knows what to look for. And these types of errors are extremely rare because they require a breakdown in multiple stages of the minting process, which is why they can command such high prices, especially when authenticated and graded by professional services. And speaking of grading, the condition of a coin is another crucial factor in its value. Coins are evaluated on a scale that measures their level of preservation, and the highest grades such as MS69 or MS70 are incredibly difficult to achieve, particularly for coins that were released into circulation. Now imagine a 2015 P nickel with a dramatic error that has somehow remained in near perfect condition, its surfaces unblemished, its details sharp, and its original luster intact. Such a coin would be a true rarity, combining both an extraordinary error and exceptional preservation, and this combination is what can drive values into the millions. But the story becomes even more fascinating when we consider the possibility of die errors, such as a doubled die, where the design is duplicated due to a misalignment during the creation of the die itself, resulting in coins that show clear doubling in the lettering or the portrait. And while minor doubling can be relatively common, strong and obvious doubled die errors are rare and highly sought after, especially on modern coins where such mistakes are less expected. And if a 2015 P nickel were discovered with a significant double die error, it could quickly become a key piece for collectors, particularly if it is one of only a few known examples. And then there is the possibility of a die crack or cut error, where a portion of the die breaks off and creates a raised blob of metal on the coin. These errors can vary in size and shape, and while some are minor, others can be quite dramatic, covering large portions of the coin's surface. And collectors often seek out these unusual features because they add character and uniqueness to a coin. But perhaps one of the most extraordinary possibilities is the existence of a mule error, where two dies that were never intended to be used together are accidentally paired, creating a coin with mismatched designs, such as a nickel with the obverse of one coin and the reverse of another denomination or even another country's currency. These errors are extremely rare and highly valuable because they represent a major breakdown in the minting process. And if a 2015 P nickel were found with such an error, it could easily become one of the most valuable coins ever discovered, especially if it is unique. And when you combine that level of rarity with high demand from collectors and investors, the price can skyrocket to unimaginable levels, potentially reaching $75 million or more. And another important factor that can influence a coin's value is its provenance, the documented history of its ownership and discovery. A coin that has an interesting story or has been part of a famous collection can be worth significantly more than a similar coin without such a background. Imagine a 2015 P nickel with a dramatic error that was discovered by a collector searching through rolls of coins from a bank, then authenticated and graded by experts, and later sold at a major auction where it set records and attracted global attention. Such a coin would not only be valuable because of its physical characteristics, but also because of its story. And in the world of high-end collecting, stories play a powerful role in driving demand and value. And one of the most exciting aspects of this entire story is the idea that such a coin could still be out there waiting to be discovered, because despite the advanced technology used in modern minting processes, errors can still slip through, and with millions of 2015p nickels produced and circulated, it is entirely possible that one of these rare and valuable coins is sitting unnoticed in someone's collection, or even in everyday change. And this possibility is what makes coin collecting so thrilling, the idea that hidden treasures are all around us, just waiting to be found. But it is also important to approach this with a realistic understanding. Not every unusual mark or imperfection is a valuable error. Many are simply the result of wear and tear after the coin left the mint, known as post-mint damage, and these do not add value. So learning to distinguish between true mint errors and ordinary damage is essential for anyone interested in this hobby. And this is where knowledge, research, and experience come into play, as well as the assistance of professional grading services that can authenticate and evaluate coins, providing collectors with the confidence they need to make informed decisions. And if you ever believe you have found a rare 2015p nickel with unusual features, it is always wise to seek expert advice before making assumptions about its value. Because while the idea of a $75 million coin is incredibly exciting, it is also extremely rare, and only the most exceptional pieces will ever reach such heights. But that does not take away from the excitement of searching, the joy of discovery, or the fascination of learning about the intricate process of coin minting and the rare mistakes that can occur along the way. And as we continue to explore these incredible stories, remember that every coin has a journey, a path from the mint to your hands, and sometimes along that path something unusual happens. Something unexpected that turns an ordinary object into something extraordinary, and the 2015p nickel is a perfect example of this. A coin that most people would overlook, yet one that holds the potential for incredible value under the right circumstances. So the next time you receive change, take a moment to look a little closer, examine the details, check for anything unusual, because you never know what you might find, and who knows, the next legendary coin worth millions could be in your possession right now, waiting to be discovered. And that is the true magic of coin collecting, the endless possibility that something small and ordinary could turn out to be something truly priceless, changing everything in an instant, and turning a simple moment into an unforgettable discovery that could last a lifetime.